melee attack from the Overworld there.
And you couldn't do that before, right?
Yeah, so you actually got the materials from that monster, from the attack, because you were strong enough to defeat it outright.
Magnamalo looks so good.
He's going for it at a decent clip there. You actually saw that we switched from Plesioth to Magnamalo. You can hold up to 6 monsters in your inventory at any time and switch between them as you're exploring.
This area is so cool. There's so much verticality, and it's a lot bigger and more expansive than the previous games. Which is really cool.
You can see this is a huge area. That little river area we started out is called the Cataracts, and now we're moving to Mount Canalta, which is this mountainous region. The monsters we see are going to be different from what we saw in that first starting region.
The animations here are really, really great too. So much agility.
Make sure to exercise your Magnamalo when you take them out. They love to jump.
There's a treasure chest there, but it looks like somebody took that stuff already.
Whoever's playing is a Luke Goblin.
Oh,
Devil Joe, Angry Pickle alert.
That's my favorite monster.
We don't want any smoke, so we're just going to get out of there.
Yeah.
Ah! So you can even change in air. Don't worry, the Magnamalo is fine. He landed on his feet. We're flying through, taking a great look at Mount Canalta behind us as we go back down towards the Cataracts. You can switch monsters at any time, even in midair. Now we're back to Ratha here, Faithful Rathalos. And we see some Acnosom in the distance.
Look at that draw distance. Yeah,
I know, right?
Good.
So we're going to see if we can interrupt their graceful flight through the air with a breath attack. Oh, just minding its own business, and we knocked it out of the sky.
That's unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, if we wanted to battle for it, it's actually really beneficial if we start with our own attack. Got caught by our canine friend there. So you can actually see a little better that on the canine that Rudy is along with us. I hope he doesn't get motion sick.
It's cool to see Palamutes back for players of Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah. Much loved. So up ahead we have a Tetranodon, and it's got some weird crystals growing on top of it. This is actually called a feral monster, and feral monsters are really tough. So we have a hard fight ahead of us. So Cowboy, you're actually really familiar with the Monster Hunter Story series, right? Do you want to explain how the combat works really quickly?
Yeah, so we have, in a sense, it's almost like a rock, paper, scissors type system going on in stories. You have power attacks, technique attacks, and then speed attacks. And attacks typically kind of align with a monster and what you'd expect. So something that, like an Anjanath, which is more of a brute, it's going to be more of power attacks typically. And in general, the idea is when you're going up against a monster, you want to try and predict what they're going to do until you learn those various movesets. On top of that, monsters will also mix things up mid-fight, so a monster may start with brute attacks, and you'll actually see that in a little bit with the Tetranodon here, but it'll change up its form and go for something else. So it keeps you on your toes, but as long as you are matching the appropriate attack style, you end up getting advantages in battle. So you get to take additional actions, your meters build up faster, you get up to your ultimate, which is like your kinship gauge. It's this gauge you build from riding your monsters, and then you get to execute like super cool, flashy attacks. So there's a fair amount of depth going on here, and then on top of that, you'll also notice our hunters are using weapons. And even though you don't control the weapon directly the way you would in the main Monster Hunter franchise, different weapons also have different advantages, such as bow having pierce or hammers having blunt, things along those lines.
Yeah, well put. So this is actually a feral monster, which is much tougher than the usual monsters we'll see or encounter. And you can see it just did a feral attack, which did a bunch of damage to the party and put Blast Blight on a couple of members. So the crystal on top of its head is actually called Blightstone. And when we attacked it normally, we got hit with damage reflected back at us. But now it's altered its form. So not only will its attack type change, but it might be the time to attack that Blast Blight crystal and not get hit with backlash damage. That's going to be me after the show. So I gouge myself on pizza.
So we're switching weapons here, right?
Yeah, so they're also attack type damages. So with the longsword, we had slash. And now we're going to change to the longbow for pierce damage because it does more to the Tetranodon's head. And we really want to break that crystal.
Amazing. Nice.
There you see, we just won that head-on-head because we correctly predicted which attack type to use. We didn't take any damage, and the Tetranodon took extra damage. Although we still had the Blast Blight effect on us, and that ended us taking one of our hearts. Now our kinship gauge was full, so we actually hopped on our canine companion friend here. We're going to do our special kinship move.
These are always so cool. There's so many unique kinship attacks with really awesome animations. Usually ends in some sort of crazy explosion.
There's that crazy explosion.
Yeah.
I don't remember that move in Rise. Where does my Palamute use?
It still got plenty of health though, but it did do a lot of damage to its Wyvern Soul gauge, and you saw that since we depleted it, it staggered, and now it loses its turn.
Let's go.
And we're switching monsters. Now we're switching monsters, which you can do at any time during a battle. Since our kinship gauge was empty, it's a perfect time to switch to a new monster, start building up those attacks. Ray Dow is going to use his elemental advantage against Tetranodon.
I think players of Monster Hunter Wilds know that attack that we just saw from right now, maybe on the opposite end of it, unfortunately.
Many players carded to that attack, me being one of them.
I think a big thing is just looking at how the UI has evolved between the franchises. Like, for those that have played the first and second game, you'll probably notice that there's a lot more going on. You have more flexibility than ever before in terms of seeing the damage types and even seeing that wheel of, strength beat technique, technique beat speed, speed beat strength. It's all very integrated and just upfront, keeping the player informed as they go through the battles now.
Absolutely. I think it flows really well, too. It's a lot easy to, once you learn the systems, it's easy to pick up. So you actually saw that we broke the Blightstone affected part of its head. So now that feral attack is going to be much, much weaker. Oof. It is still a feral monster, though, and it's really tough. And you see it knocked a bunch of our party members down.
Well, we saw the type advantage there, too, because Anjanath is a fire-line monster, and we saw that water attack. You could see it had that weak effect there. So
exactly.
on top of the advantages of playing to the strength of the monster, you obviously want to tie up the right elements if you have access to them as well.
100%. And here you see Angie is hopping on her Anjanath. I think we're going to choose an item to buff her up a little bit. Oh, and we're actually switching to our Hunting Horn. Power up ourselves and our friends. And we've staggered it once more, so that means it's toppled, and we can do a Synchro Rush. So this is a mechanic where we can do a lot of extra damage to a toppled monster. And it's really good that we buffed ourselves right before this, meaning it'll power up so much more.
It's very satisfying. Look at those numbers.
Feels good. And now we're going to hop on Ray Dow.
Almost there.
Giving Eleanor an extra heart, making sure she doesn't tank the battle. There was a feral attack, and you saw it was much weaker. A lot easier to deal with.
But it's cool, right, that there's some challenge in this fight. There's a lot of strategy and depth. It's not like this monster is just, one hit and then it's out and it's just a filler battle. Like, there is a lot that you have to focus on here.
Absolutely. Here's Eleanor's kinship skill with Angie. Good amount of damage and another stagger, meaning it loses its turn. Now we're going to use our kinship skill with Ray Down. This one's actually really cool.
This is so over the top, but I love it.
That railgun attack, been carded to it so many times. And because Tetranodon is weak to thunder, that's enough to knock it down, and the frail monster's been defeated.
We got an S rank.
And that'll wrap up the gameplay section.